How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious, and welcome to this week's edition of Should You Summon? This is a weekly video I release the evening before that weekend's banner in Watcher of Realms, in which I break down and answer the question for all of you, should you summon? So, what is the banner in question this week? Well, we've got the crazy Invocation of Spirits. Don't care. It's all about this special ancient summoning, right? So this is an Ancients only banner, and it's going to be a 10x on 2 ancient exclusive heroes. So, pretty interesting banner. We've got Demi. She is a Cultist ancient exclusive lord. She is a mage, magic damage dealer. Looks pretty cool. She'll play that little drum for you. And then we've got Eunomia, who I do think is the star of this banner. Has a case to be, at least, I'll tell you, in terms of heals and healing, the best hero in the game. Has a case to be one of the best healers in the game. It's going to be hard to compete with someone like Elwyn or even Hollow that brings such tremendous rage regeneration. However, the heals are enormous, and she brings immense amount of attack speed increase to your team that eventually is permanent. She's got a nice range, too. She's got the same range as like Nasandai or Lightlock. You can kind of think of her as like Super Nasandai. She's got heal bounces. She's got amazing multipliers. She's attack-based, crazy high base stats. That being said, I would not say I'm drooling over this banner, with a couple good reasons. So, as always, I'm going to break this down for all spending groups, those being free-to-play, low spender, mid-spender, dolphin, and whale, and also all stages of the game. Early game, mid-game, late game, and end game, which I think I finally am in end game. I've beaten all the content in the game now. I just got my 50k blood, so yay. Anyway, let's talk Demi. Let's talk Eunomia. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty, friends, so while there is some nuance that can go into reviewing this banner, I think a lot of it's pretty straightforward. It's simple answers for each one. Basically, there's 2 kinds of people that I think should be summoning on this banner. Very different kinds of people. Everyone else in between and otherwise, I don't think should summon. I think this is a hard skip. I'll get into all the reasons why, but let's just start. So I think if you're early or mid-game, right, so you're still doing your up to 18 gear raids or up to 19 gear raids, that kind of stuff, I would probably go for it. And the reason is not really because of Demi or because of Eunomia. It's because it's an ancient banner, and I don't know if you can afford that early on to skip out on summoning on ancient banners. That's because on ancient banners, you have a 6% chance on every single summon. So even if you only have, voice crack, even if you only have 6 summons or 10 summons or something, each one has a 6% chance to get an epic lord. And if you're anything like me, if you're early in mid game and even late game, I didn't get it till like the later part of late game for me, you very well may not have a lord from every faction. It took me a really long time to get a Solda. Fortunately, I had Dagna, but some other factions, I was hurting. It took me, as many of you know, forever to get Pyros. It took me forever to get Raiden. It took me forever to get Vladov. Eventually, you reach the point where you're kind of in that later end game where you have tons of them. So after this fusion, I have A for Vladov. Granted, everyone that's playing the game right now, you probably did the fusion and you got your Vladov, but if you're missing that Raiden, he makes a big difference. If you're missing that Lunaria, if you're newer to the game and you missed that fusion, Pyros, Aeon, if you've missed any of those fusions, these are huge heroes, right? So if you're in that situation, I think you have to pull on every ancient banner when they come up. It doesn't really, like, you can't afford to do what I'm going to describe where, like, I'm in the position where I'm just going to save until I'm getting close to Ancient Pity. If you don't know, Ancient Pity is just for lords. You're guaranteed a lord at 220. The pity kicks in at 200. So it's not a legendary pity. It's a legendary lord pity. I'm targeting stuff, right? And I'll get into that momentarily. However, if you're that early mid-game, regardless of spending group, I think you have to summon on these banners when they pop up. I think it's as simple as that. However, the only other people that I think should be pulling are belugas. So what is a beluga? It's a pretty whaley whale. So I define whale, as you saw in the beginning of this video, in that spending group from $250 per month to $1,000 per month. I'm going to call a beluga like a real whale. So you're like 500 plus a month. So you're really spending, because I think anything less than that, you can't afford to go for this banner. And now I'm talking about late game and end game. So the early mid game thing, I think it's irregardless. Free to play through Kraken, you should probably do it unless you've been lucky enough to fill out all your lords. However, if you're in the late and especially end game, I think this is a must skip unless you're a big boy spender. You put on your big boy pants, you pull out your big boy wallet, and you're ready to, when there's something you like this game, spend $500 a month, $1,000 a month, right? So why do I say that? Well, this banner just isn't that sexy. Not talking about the models of the heroes or anything, just it's not so appealing. So let's start with the legendary lord, that being Demi, right? I think there's a very good argument that actually the only legendary lord I have in the entire game, Morgan, is better than Demi. And I think that's the only case in the game where the ancient exclusive might be worse than the normal one who's available from ancients, normal rare summons, and normal legendary summons, right? Why is that? Well, Demi has a lot of interesting things in her kit that makes her really special. She's got some invisibility. She's got a specialized attack interval. She's got tons of slows just in general on her basic attacks. She's got heal block, right? She's got a lot of cool things, Demi. However, a lot of them just aren't meta at all and aren't needed, and there are many other examples of heroes that are more accessible that are better at doing them. So first off, her damage is not as good as Morgan's. Her Lord bonus, quite frankly, I think is worse. So Morgan's is 25% increased damage for all cultists on all AoE, any AoE damage dealing move, but almost every single one of these damage dealers, actually I think every single one does do AoE damage, so it's basically just 25% extra damage. But what Demi has is an additional 12% damage, let me show you, whenever a faction ally kills an enemy, and this lasts for 5 seconds. So her and all the other faction allies from Cultist will have to be killing 3 enemies every second, not every second, every 5 seconds to get max stacks and make this more potent. Because if it's only 2, that's 24% damage. As I said, all their damage is AoE anyway, so to be better than Morgan's 25%, it has to be 3 kills every 5 seconds to keep those stacks up and make it better. It's just not happening for most content. There's not so much huge AoE, tons of mobs, huge quantities of enemies to kill content in this game. Really, it's just Gear Aid 1, but I actually think, unless you're hurting for specific heroes, Morgan probably has Demi beat there too. A better bonus, because you're not going to keep that up more than 2 kills, or you're not going to keep it at 3 kills for max stacks for perpetually. It's very likely you won't maintain 3 stacks, so Morgan would still be better. When it comes to damage dealing, Demi isn't bad. She actually doesn't do damage from her basic attack, but during her ult she can. But her damage is way worse than Morgan. Morgan, gets maybe a bad rap because she's not Comet or Virna or, of course, Boreas, but she's right thereafter. She does proper AoE damage. She's very solid, especially with skill ups. Demi does not have that claim. And then you think heal block. She is probably the second best heal blocker in the game, but heal block has been made more and more accessible. You can get Zealous, you can put on his exclusive artifact, that's probably the worst option. Kriya is a very common hero. If you get her A1, she has a pretty nice anti-heal. It's honestly very, very solid. If you get Lasir, of course, he has a tremendous anti-heal, especially if you can get 2 or even 4 skill ups into his ult, but even 2 is more than enough. And then, of course, the god himself, Boreas, is by far the best anti-heal hero in the game. And I'm not talking about he's the best hero in the game that has anti-heal. I think his anti-heal, because he puts it out so frequently, really is the best. He is just so flippin' good. Whenever any enemy is inflicted with freeze on the battlefield, essentially, in his huge Boreas range, he is going to have this anti-heal that he places on them. So because of that, I just don't think she's that special. Invisibility is completely useless in Gear Aid 1, which is the only place you're really going to use her, because it's not like they can hit platform units. Earlier on, they have those guys that shoot the projectiles, but for that, you don't need some kind of low damage taking invisible thing, which she does have. She's very hard to kill, but there's not much content in the game where people are even trying to kill her that you would use her in. So all in all, I think she's fine. I actually think she's worse than Morgan, which says something, because if you look at some of these other, like Twin Fiend's awesome, Soul Cadence is game breaking, right? If we go to Esotericis, Venoma's awesome, Cyrus is game breaking. If we go to Northrone, King Heart's pretty good, Elder, Très Magnifique, incredible, right? And then here is Demi, just kind of being Demi, So for that reason, do you want to risk resetting your Ancient Lord Pity on her? The answer is no. The answer is no. So if you're a big boy spender, the only reason you do it is because you can afford to get a Lord, it is Demi, reset it, and then go really hard on the next banners that we have coming that might have more attractive options. The reason you would risk it is because you really want Eunomia, and this is the other reason why I think anybody but these big boy spenders should skip this. She's amazing, but she's a healer, and let's be honest, she's got cool support, but at the end of the day, none of this is so meta. Like, is she unbelievably in healer codex? Sure. Would she be really, really good in Nightmare Void Rift and stuff like that? Absolutely. Could she be really good in Guild Boss? Yes, she won't be better than Hollow, but she'll be really good. All these things, but the only way for her to really, really shine would be with Praetus. Her dual faction membership is with Watchers, the worst faction in the game still. All in all, are you going to break the bank for a healer? If you're a big spender, you certainly can. If you're anyone else, I don't think you should. So what should you be saving for? Well, let's go to the Chaos. You can see we've got Gon, we've got Vladov, but in case you've missed it, Valderon is coming to the game. I predict soon. Could it be the next banner? Certainly. Could it be 2 or 3 from now? Also possible. But he already came out on Forerunner. He is so flipping powerful. He, like many of these other lords, is somewhat selfish, like if you compare him to someone like Soul Cadence. But he himself, as a hero, not just a lord, does so much work. So much damage, so that's who I'm holding out for. And certainly I do not want to be resetting my pity on Demi. Me particularly, because I literally have been pretty unlucky. 5,200 summons in the game, all my ancients, all my golds, and yet the only legendary lord I have is Morgan, so I certainly don't need another legendary lord from this faction. But moreover, wait for those special things. So if you're not into the chaotic units, if you don't want to hold out for Valderon, I think it's pretty likely we're going to get a 10x on Aracha soon. I would go hard on that for sure. You know, Venoma's never gotten a 10x. Let's keep going. If we go up here, Tordor's never gotten a 10x. I'd much rather him than Demi. King Hearts, quite frankly, I'd rather him than Demi. He's also never gotten a 10x. So those are all the legendary lords still left in the game that have never received a 10x. I do predict the next 10x we get very likely will be Aracha, right? There's no exclusive ancient lord from the Piercer faction. She's never had a 10x. I think her and Valderon are coming up soon. That is worth holding out for. And just a quick little shout out to Pink Jesus for helping me prep for this video. Thanks, Pink. So guys, I hope this video helped answer some of your questions when it comes to that all-important question, should you summon? Thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, please like it. I want to thank you guys one more time. We hit 10,000 subscribers 2 days ago. That is something I truly never thought would happen, so that's very, very fun. I will have like a announcement video for how we're going to celebrate this weekend. That will come out later on today, so some of you probably will be asleep when that comes out, so you can wake up to that. But basically, I'll be streaming all weekend to celebrate. We have a very, very, very fun event planned, so look forward to that. Much love. Subscribe again, I guess, if you haven't, or I don't know. Share it with your mother. Hasta pronto.
Fastidious.